Hello, we are in Sofia, Bulgaria, and we are together with Alexander Yolovski, who is the CIO, Chief Information Officer for the country, and also the Deputy Chairperson for the State of E-Government Agency in the country, Bulgaria. Alexander Yolovski, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
The State E-Government Agency in Bulgaria was recently created and actually was commissioned to digitalize public administrations in the country. The results are so far quite impressive. We know that Bulgaria scores really high in what concerns to user centricity, but this is not the only point in which they are high in the scale. So Alexander, please, could you tell us more about how has been the SEGA State E-Government Agency role in this development of digital public administrations in the country?
First of all, I would like to say that I'm really happy that some of our efforts have already paid off, if I may say so, because yes, we are operational since December 2016, and for that time we managed to put the e-government on the right track. Our agency was created with the main mission of delivering the e-government to the citizens and businesses. So we are really coordinating the whole life cycle of e-government in Bulgaria, from the project idea to the project formulation, creating the technical specification, the technical requirements. We are also coordinating the processes for public procurement, implementing the systems, and of course, we coordinate the process of decommissioning of systems. So yes, we have a very broad range of operations, including budgetary control, project control, and I think that this is the exact the measures that we have to do. This is the exact recipe that is right for our conditions. In the last year and a half, let's say, we focused our main activities towards several topics. At first place, I would like to say that the practical implementation of once only principle is really our biggest success, because we believe that citizens have not to carry documents from one administration to other. Citizens should not be the lacking interoperability between public administrations. So once only, yes, it's at the center of our efforts, as well as citizens themselves. We actually elaborated and we are implementing brand new centralized model for requesting payment and delivery of e-services, in terms of which the citizens will have a single point of contact with the government, where they will find all the relevant services that they are needing, and they'll have a unified way of requesting and paying them. So yes, we believe that this model will work. It's our way to drastically reduce the amount of services that are available only in the administration's offices, and it's a way to put the citizens in the center of everything. I'm very proud of one of our initiatives that we actually started. Let's say that here in Bulgaria we have, we call them services, but they are actually not services. These services are receiving a document from one state administration, which document certifies some facts or conditions about you, your family, your car, your home, and so on. So actually this is the finest example of administrative burden in our country. When you want to have a service, you have to bring several documents for other public bodies certifying, let's say, that you are not a convicted criminal, that you don't have to pay taxes to the state or the municipality. And it becomes really difficult for citizens to use this kind of services. So we started the process of reducing the number of documents that actually have to be given by the citizens, and in accordance with the once only principle, to start checking the circumstances into the registers that actually have this information. So we started amending the legislation because we don't have technical issues with it. We have the environment for interconnection of base registers, and we made it operational. So that the main challenge was that a lot of the sectoral laws actually say that the document has to be signed manually, or there has to be a wet stamp with blue ink, or that the citizen has to bring the document into the administration. So we are having legal difficulties implementing, let's say, once only, and using the environment for interconnection of base registers. Just let me give you an example. One of the most widely asked certificates is the conviction certificate, whether you were put on trial in the last 6 months. And in order to stop the practices of asking this certificate from the citizens and checking this information into the base register where this information is, we had to amend more than 70 acts, laws and bylaws, and it's a really good example of the administrative burden that we actually managed to reduce. We identified additional 12 document certificates that are widely asked by different public bodies, and started the same process of amending the legislation. And for these 12 documents, again, I think more than 200 acts have to be amended. Some of them are currently amended, others are in the process, but yes, it's a really good example of this, that we don't have technical issues, we have most of our issues are legal. And one thing that I would like to emphasize is that in our country it was really important to start the coordination and control process over the project planning and the budgets of e-government. And our agency really showed good results in the last year and a half. And we are currently coordinating and controlling all the projects concerning e-government, the budget spending, and so on. So yes, we are really a centralized body that I hope in the next few years will bring excellent results for the Bulgarian citizens and companies, as well as European citizens who are actually who are users of Bulgarian services.
In August 2017, SEGA, state government agency in Bulgaria, initiated a process for amending more than 150 acts to ensure compliance with the once only principle and the directive on the reuse of public sector information. In what sense, Alexander, has it simplified the lives of businesses and citizens in the country?
It's really hard to measure currently, but you know, the most important thing is that we are starting to change the administrative culture, let's say. We are imposing one-soling culture in the Bulgarian public administration. It's very hard to say to a civil servant, okay, you have to stop working the way you have worked the last 25 years, and you have to change the process that you are doing. It's hard not because they are reluctant to change, but it's hard because it's the shift between analog and digital, not only, but also the shift towards administrative-oriented culture to citizen-oriented culture of administrative service delivery. That's why, yes, it's really hard to measure, but citizens and representatives of companies can experience it right now, and I hope that this process will continue, and it's of course irreversible. because not only citizens and businesses see benefits from this, but also administrations, because it's really hard when you have to, let's say, store piles of documents, and it's really easy when you can check something in an online database and you're sure that the document is actually original. So I think that a lot has been made, but it's just the beginning. But it shows not only the policy that we are conducting in the field of e-government, but the general approach, general new approach towards citizens and businesses in Bulgaria. We are putting really citizens and businesses in the center of all our efforts.
The once only principle, together with the digital by default and interoperable by default, are some of the principles enshrined in the eGov ministerial declaration signed back on the 6th of October last year. In this regard, digital public administrations need to boost these principles as enshrined in the European Interoperability Framework, which is the document we are trying to implement all along the European Union. Alexander, what is the level of implementation of this document in the country currently?
It's a very nice question, because actually the European Interoperability Framework helped us as a country a lot in making the right decisions and finding the right answers for several of our issues. I think it's very good to say that our approach, the Bulgarian approach, it's of course unique for our country, but we are trying to impose a lot of the principles from the interoperability framework into our legislation. That's the way we ensure that it will be not only policy, but it will be a legal requirement. Because it's very difficult when you have so much legacy systems and you are still in the process of changing the administrative culture. It's really hard to rely only on policies. I will give you just several examples. We are currently working on a Bulgarian e-government architectural framework. We have a draft, and this draft is fully aligned with the European Interoperability Framework, which was one of the requirements, let's say. Speaking of, let's say, open data, we have obligatory requirements concerning open data when new systems are developed. So all new Bulgarian e-government systems will have the necessary technical provisions to comply with the open data requirements and norms, which again a very good practice, because it's not only the policy, it's the law, the Bulgarian e-Government Act, that actually requires that all systems use and provide open data. So of course we're in a process. We are amending the Bulgarian Interoperability Framework. It will be a part of our architectural framework, of course, but it's not, I'm not speaking that we are just preparing documents. A lot of these recommendations and principles are already in place, including the model for requesting, paying and delivering of e-services that we elaborate because it's using building blocks. The model actually is based on existing Bulgarian e-government building blocks, and instead of requiring all the administrations to use these building blocks, we decided to make this model in which, so to speak, the e-government agency will provide the front office for an e-service, while the back office remains in the respective administration. Again, using building blocks, making single point of contact, these are things that are explicitly written in the European Interoperability Framework. So yes, we are aligned, and we really enjoy the benefits from it.
The European Interoperability Framework provides 47 recommendations to digital public administrations from a local, regional, national and European level. The reason why for this is just to align all the public administrations so all of them can interact and interoperate between them easily. To overcome sometimes the issues that these may bring, we have legal, organizational, semantic and technical barriers, and sometimes the main problem resides in the legal part. So actually in this regard, the SEGA agency initiated a bill amending the main legislative act concerning the public administration, the Administrative Procedure Code. What are the benefits that this amendment has brought into the market, into the landscape of Bulgaria, Alexander?
Again, it shows that the legal aspect of interoperability maybe for us is the biggest challenge. Because we have our e-delivery module in operation since maybe 2 years, just before the start of our government agency. We made it fully compliant with the law. We made it fully operational in November last year. Actually, we're providing e-service for citizens on registered mail during this with this building block e-delivery. But we found as a common problem that when it's not obligatory for public administrations to use this building block, the process will be very slow. And because it's too important to have this building block operational and let's say widely used not only by citizens but also for administrations, because you have to have two sides of this equation. We proposed to the Bulgarian Parliament that this amendment is made so that this building block becomes mandatory for everybody, and not only for administrations to deliver documents and services to citizens, but also as a channel of communication between citizens and businesses, of course, from one side and administrations on another, because we cannot rely on emails. You know, it's not so practical to use emails, and we are providing this e-delivery for citizens and businesses free of charge. So it's really a nice way to centralize the communication at one place, and securing that no document is lost in the translation process. So I hope that these legal obstacles will be shortly reduced and removed, and we have the necessary capacity. We know how to do it. So all other issues that are going to arise in the Bulgarian government, we already have the right solutions for them. So it's a matter of time to implement them on a wider basis.
But not only in legal is Bulgaria scoring really high, but also in the interconnection with base registries in the country. Actually, Bulgaria, regarding this digitalization of public administrations, is connecting all the base registries in the country so that any single citizen from a region or a municipality in the country can transfer all their data to another region in just a second, thanks to digital public administrations. Alexander, could you please explain to us how is this process being? Because we know that by the end of this year, you may have all these base registries connected.
Again, it's citizens and businesses are really at the center of all our efforts. And speaking about base registers, these are really the most widely used registers that actually have information systems, and they can exchange information with no limitations. So the practical aspect for this is that citizens and businesses will enjoy not only the once only, the effects of once only principle, that they're going not more to carry documents between one and other administration, but also we will foster, we will ensure the digital by default. Because again, it's a matter of changing the attitudes, changing the culture of administrative services delivery, and with more good examples, it will be easy not only to citizens but also to the administration. And one thing more, good practices are really important, and not only good practices in one sector but also good practices across different sectors in Bulgaria. So we really rely on the Regix environment, this environment that gives us the access to OR-based registers. We rely that it will be in favor not only to the citizens but to administrations themselves.
By now, every single person watching this interview may have understood already that Bulgaria is doing a really good job in the digitalization of their public administrations. However, nothing is as green as we always think, and we really know that the path to digitalize public administrations is not an easy one. So, Alexander, what have been these challenges you have faced through this process? How did you face it? What support did you have? What needs did you have? Please tell us more about how this process has and is being.
Of course, institutional coordination in e-government is always hard. And we should admit it, it's maybe at the center of all the efforts that require success. That's why one of our main goals is to form a CIO network in Bulgaria, which we are currently missing, so that every ministry will have their appointed CIO, and all the CIOs will actually discuss and plan together the necessary steps, because we have the proper legislation, we have the centralized body, the state e-government agency, but still we need to form an alliance between all the bodies that are concerned in this process, because it's tempting to impose some policy. It's tempting to say or to require from another body to do this or that. But if there's internal resistance, not only from the civil servants, but from the people who actually are planning or are taking the decisions, it will be much more harder. So that's why we're trying to form this CIO network as a step towards a better coordination in the whole e-government. This will improve not only the process but the capacity of the whole system. And I think it's really crucial to also to have a clear career path in e-government IT servants, because not only the possibility for career development, but the predictability in ICT is very, very important in terms of having the opportunities and also having a clear vision what lies ahead.
Even though we know that Bulgaria is doing really well in the implementation of the EIF and the digitalization of their public administrations, we know that there is still a long way to go through. Actually, the eGov strategy for Bulgaria until 2020 is pretty ambitious. So, Alexander, what are the next steps in this digitalization of public administrations process?
I wouldn't use the term short term, because short term in Bulgaria means that somebody will press the button and will have the whole government functioning. Sometimes the media has this understanding on short-term results. I would say that we rely on three main pillars. Of course, the use of building blocks, the cyber security, and the legal aspects of things. And of course, we are not planning our activities to have results in 3 or 5 years. Of course, we are trying to give citizens and businesses some results now, so that they can feel the difference. And of course, when we give them some results, they will expect more. And in the meantime, we'll give them these additional results. So it's like a wheel. And currently, our government strategy, our government program is till 2021. But I think that after 21, it will be the same. It will be the same direction. I just wanted to say you one more interesting thing. Our institutional structure as the agency. We are an agency because we are not. We are independent from change. We will not change with the change of the government. The chairperson of the agency has a 5-year term, and the chairperson cannot be replaced. So the agency has some stability and continuity, and this was at the heart of the reform from 2016, just before we were created. That there is a centralized body that's independent from future government change, so that the policy remains the same, and the policy remains always towards citizens and businesses, and securing the really practical results, and not only drafting strategies, frameworks, and so on.
Alexander Yolovski, Chief Information Officer for Bulgaria and Deputy Chairperson for the State of e-Government Agency in Bulgaria. Thank you so much for having joined us today in this interview, and very good luck, and let's go on making Europe interoperable. Thanks a lot, Alexander.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
And if you want to learn more about how the European Commission is digitalizing public administrations and make e-government a reality, bringing the benefits to citizens and businesses, stay tuned. We will come back with more interviews in each of the member states, trying to learn more about how each of the countries are trying to digitalize their public administrations, making our lives easier. Bye bye.